This is the Dark History Project. Before we get started, please take a moment to subscribe and hit that like button. Thank you. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The true story behind the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is not directly based on real events, but is inspired by the life and crimes of Ed Gein, a notorious criminal and grave robber from Plainfield, Wisconsin. Gein's gruesome acts in the 1950s shocked the nation and influenced several horror films, including Psycho and The Silence of the Lambs, as well as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Ed Gein was a quiet and reclusive man who lived on a farm with his domineering mother, Augusta, who instilled in him a fear of women and twisted sense of morality. After her death in 1945, Gein's mental state deteriorated, and he became obsessed with the idea of creating a woman suit to become his deceased mother. This morbid desire led him to dig up corpses from local cemeteries and use their skin and body parts to fashion gruesome artifacts, including masks, furniture, and clothing made from human flesh. Gein's crimes came to light in 1957 when the police investigated the disappearance of a local hardware store owner, Bernice Warden. They discovered her decapitated body in Gein's barn, hung upside down and gutted like a deer. Inside his house, investigators found a nightmarish collection of human remains, including skulls turned into bowls, lampshades made from human skin, and a belt made of nipples. Although Ed Gein only confessed to 2 killings, his macabre actions left a lasting impression on American pop culture and the horror genre. His twisted fascination with human anatomy and his ghastly practices inspired the character of Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Leatherface, like Gein, wears masks made from human skin and lives in a rural, isolated setting, terrorizing those who cross his path. While the film's portrayal of a cannibalistic family wielding chainsaws is pure fiction, the horror lies in the fact that Gein's real-life actions were just as disturbing. His story continues to haunt the public's imagination, serving as a grim reminder of the dark depths of human depravity. The Night Stalker. Richard Ramirez, infamously known as the Night Stalker, unleashed a reign of terror upon Los Angeles and San Francisco during the mid-1980s. His brutal crime spree, which lasted from '84 to '85, left a trail of horror and devastation that haunted the state of California. What made Ramirez particularly terrifying was his unpredictability and sheer brutality. He was a predator who struck at random, leaving no one safe from his sadistic reach. Ramirez's attacks were marked by a disturbing ritualistic element. He would break into homes in the dead of night, earning him the chilling nickname Night Stalker. Once inside, he would subject his victims to unimaginable violence, often taunting them with satanic symbols and phrases. His crimes ranged from burglary and assault to cold-blooded killings, and his methods were as varied as they were brutal. He used guns, knives, and even household objects to carry out his horrific acts, adding to the sense of randomness and fear. What made Ramirez even more terrifying was his lack of a consistent victim profile. He attacked men, women, and children of all ages and backgrounds, making his crimes even harder to predict and prevent. The city was gripped with fear, residents double locking their doors and windows, terrified that they could be next. The manhunt for the Night Stalker was one of the largest in California's history. As the media frenzy grew, Ramirez seemed to revel in the chaos he was causing. But his reign of terror came to an end in August 1985, when a group of vigilant citizens in East Los Angeles recognized him and beat him down until the police arrived. Ramirez's capture brought a sense of relief, but his trial only deepened his infamy. He flashed satanic symbols and showed no remorse, famously declaring his allegiance to the devil in court. Richard Ramirez was eventually convicted of taking the lives of 13 people and sentenced to death, dying of natural causes in prison in 2013. His legacy is one of pure evil, a nightmare that continues to haunt the memories of those who lived through his terror. The Devil's Footprint. The Teufelsschritt, or Devil's Footprint, is a peculiar and enigmatic mark embedded in the stone floor of the Frauenkirche, Munich's iconic cathedral. The story behind it is steeped in legend and mystery, dating back to the 15th century when the cathedral was being constructed by master builder Jörg von Halsbach. According to the tale, von Halsbach struck a deal with the devil to secure funding and assistance to complete the cathedral. The devil agreed under one condition: the church should be built without windows, making it a dark, somber place unfit for worship. As the construction neared completion, the devil returned to inspect the church. Standing at the entrance, he was delighted to see no windows visible from his vantage point. Believing he had triumphed, he stomped his foot down in satisfaction, leaving behind a deep imprint in the stone. However, as he moved further into the nave, the devil was enraged to discover that von Halsbach had cleverly positioned the columns to obscure the view of the beautiful stained glass windows from the entrance. From any other position in the church, the windows flooded the interior with light, making the church a place of reverence and awe. Furious at being deceived, the devil attempted to rush inside, but was repelled by the sacredness of the space. Frustrated, he is said to have fled the cathedral, leaving behind only the mysterious footprint as a reminder of his visit and the builder's cunning. Today, visitors to the Frauenkirche can still see the devil's footprint, a distinct size 11 shoe print with a curved heel, right at the entrance of the cathedral. The stone around it remains unmarked, adding to its mystique. The Teufelsschritt continues to intrigue locals and tourists alike, symbolizing the age-old struggle between good and evil, faith and deception. It serves as a reminder of the cathedral's legendary past and the enduring power of folklore in the heart of Munich. The Real Exorcism of Emily Rose. The tragic case of Anneliese Michel, often cited as a real-life inspiration for films like The Exorcism of Emily Rose, is one of the most harrowing and controversial exorcism stories in history. Born in 1952 in Bavaria, Germany, Anneliese was a deeply religious young woman. Her ordeal began in 1968 when she was 16. Experiencing convulsions and being diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy. Despite treatment, her condition worsened. She started exhibiting behaviors that her devout Catholic family believed were signs of demonic possession, including aversion to religious objects, drinking her own urine, and hearing voices. By 1973, Anneliese and her family had become convinced that medical treatment was not enough. They sought help from the Catholic Church, who eventually granted permission for an exorcism. Two priests, Father Arnold Renz and Father Ernst Alt, were appointed to perform the ritual. Over the course of 10 months in 1975 and 1976, Anneliese underwent 67 exorcism sessions, some lasting up to 4 hours. Throughout this time, Anneliese's condition deteriorated severely. She stopped eating, believing that starvation was the only way to atone for what she perceived as the sins of the world. The sessions became increasingly intense, with Anneliese screaming, thrashing, and claiming to be possessed by multiple demons, including Lucifer, Judas Iscariot, and Nero. On July 1st, 1976, Anneliese died in her home from malnutrition and dehydration at the age of 23. She weighed just 68 pounds. Her parents and the two priests were later charged with negligent homicide. During the trial, the defense argued that Anneliese had been possessed, while the prosecution maintained that she had been mentally ill and needed medical help. The priests and her parents were found guilty of manslaughter, but were given suspended sentences, as the court acknowledged that they truly believed they were saving her soul. The case of Anneliese Michel remains a chilling reminder of the intersection between faith and mental illness and the consequences of extreme beliefs. It has sparked ongoing debates about the ethics of exorcism and the responsibility of religious and medical authorities in handling such cases. The story of Tutankhamun's curse, often referred to as the Curse of the Pharaohs, has captivated the public's imagination since the discovery of his tomb in 1922. Tutankhamun, a relatively minor pharaoh of the 18th dynasty, ruled Egypt from 1332 to 1323 BC and died at a young age. His tomb, hidden in the Valley of the Kings, remained largely untouched for over 3,000 years until it was uncovered by British archaeologist Howard Carter and his team. Upon entering the tomb, they were astonished by the wealth of treasures and the remarkably preserved sarcophagus. Shortly after the discovery, rumors of a curse began to circulate, fueled by the sudden and mysterious death of Lord Carnarvon, Carter's financial backer. Just a few months after the tomb was opened, Carnarvon died of an infected mosquito bite that turned septic. At the exact moment of his death, it was said that the lights in Cairo flickered, and his dog, back in England, howled and died as well. This incident sparked sensational stories in the press about a curse placed upon those who disturbed the young king's resting place. The notion of the curse was further reinforced by a series of misfortunes and deaths among people connected to the excavation. Over the years, several individuals who visited or were involved in the tomb's discovery, including Carter's assistant and various members of the expedition, died under seemingly unusual circumstances. However, skeptics argue that the curse is merely a myth, pointing out that many of those involved lived long, healthy lives, including Howard Carter himself, who died peacefully over a decade later. Modern researchers have attributed the deaths to natural causes, such as bacterial infections or just plain coincidence. Despite the controversy, the legend of King Tutankhamun's curse endures, symbolizing the enduring allure and mystery of ancient Egypt and the potential consequences of disturbing the past. It remains a powerful narrative that continues to intrigue and inspire stories, books, and films. Thank you for being with us for this episode of the Dark History Project. Please help us out by liking this video and don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. We're available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere else you can listen to podcasts. We hope you enjoyed it, and our next episode will come out soon. See you then.